经过那么多场比赛，好不容易来到这里。
真的吗？
如果你要胜利，要先过这一关。
真的吗？我也不是这么容易被打败的。
那我们看谁最后可以露出胜利的微笑。
我在战场。
Welcome to the final day of the 2005 Kaohsiung World Pool Championship. Day 9, it is the final day when two young men are here at the Business Exhibition Center looking for that world title. Guo Po Cheng and Wu Chia Cheng, two young men from Chinese Taipei. It all started 8-9 days ago when 128 players from all over the world came here in search of that elusive title. Let's look back then, starting with the action on day 1 and the highlights of the group action.
Day 1, Alex Pagulayan in action against Rico Dix of the Netherlands. Would Alex Pagulayan make his third championship final in succession? Well, he started off well enough against Rico Dix, but then it all started to fall apart. Pagulayan jumping out to a 4-1 lead, but Rico wasn't finished. The Dutchman came flying back. Pagulayan couldn't believe it. And when the dust had settled, it was Pagulayan down, Rico Dix back from the brink to win 5-4. The first of many shocks.
This time Efren Batares against Kang from Chinese Taipei. Once again, the group stage is only a race to 5 alternate break format, and Reyes was not in the best of form. A lot was expected of the magician here in this tournament, but unfortunately he wasn't able to please. Reyes goes down in this one. Our final score, 5-3. You can see those uncharacteristic misses from the magician, and that really did him in. There's your final tally. Kang, the victor.
Well, Luke Salvas and Mika Immonen both came into this tournament with big reputations. The Finn, of course, a former world champion. Salvas, the machine gun, always entertaining, never a dull moment. With lucky Luke Salvas on the table. These two put a lot of spin on the ball, got a lot of things going on. It was a shootout as we expected, but these smaller pockets from this year definitely hurt one or two of the players in the early going. A lot of shots missed that you wouldn't have expected, but it was another hill-hill match and Salvas won it.
Rodolfo Boy Samson Luat from the Philippines in his Group 2 matchup against Yang from Chinese Taipei. Yeah, with a couple of errors here and there. This was a great matchup between two of the veterans on the Asian Tour. They know each other very well, and this one was a tight one from the very beginning. Both of them displaying their wares, showing the skills. But after the dust settled, when the smoke is cleared, it was that man, Yang Qingxun, over Rodolfo Boy Samson. What the final score there was 5-2.
Steve Davis literally got off a plane from England to take on Vilmos Foldes in a group match. High hopes were expected, big things expected of Davis, but Foldes was going to have a tournament that would stick in the memory for a long time. And Davis, jet lag? Well, who knows? The 6-time former world snooker champion was not at the races for this one, as the man from Hungary showed that he was the hungrier of the two players. Davis not at his best. Foldes edging one. Yet another hill-hill battle. That really was the story of day one. Everything, it seemed, was going the distance.
Earl the Pearl Strickland against Uzel from England. Another great match here in day number 1. A lot of spectators came over for this one. Earl the Pearl, a lot was expected of him, especially since he said he loved the tighter pockets here. Didn't like it there. But Strickland still on top, 5-1.
Niels Fayen and Ronnie Alcano duelled it out in Group 12. Alcano, one of a promising group of Filipino players, most of whom fell by the wayside early. Fayen, the lead-off man for a very impressive group of Dutchmen. Both these two fellas were expecting to be there in the latter stages.
Here we have Chow against Paez from Mexico. Another eagerly awaited match, and former world champion trying not to disappoint the hometown fans here. Paez jumping all over the place and trying to stay in step with the cold-faced killer. Chow methodically knocking down Paez, 5-2.
So at the end of day 1, both Wu Jie-Ching and Kuo Po Cheng had 100% records. Let's look now at the action on day 2.
Last year's beaten finalist Chang Pei Wei was up on the big table, looking to see what he could do against Gabe Owen in a Group 11 match. Was he going to be a one-year wonder? Well, Chang had his moments. He had an up-and-down qualification. Gabe Owen in this one seemed to have more downs than ups. Chang showing that he would be around.
It's the Japanese now taking Williams from the United States, former world champion in Takahashi, trying to duplicate that feat he had quite a while ago. Charlie Williams, all the way from the United States, trying to stay in step.
They call him Napoleon, the little man from Sweden. Marcus Chamat against David Alcaide of Spain, who had such a terrific run last year. Chamat had more downs than ups in qualifying and would be one of only 3 players to get through the group stages with 3 wins. Well, both these fellas were out of form. Alcaide never got past the group stage. Chamat just about limped in. Napoleon marched on.
It's Zhang here from Chinese Taipei, one of 17 campaigners here from the host nation, against Tony Drago. Tony Drago always plays so quickly. Seems like he's double parked every single time. But there, he was parked in his seat, and Can wins 5-2.
Torsten Homan, the world champion from 2 years ago, out to prove that was no fluke. The young German taking on Imran Majid of London. England v Germany, always a little bit spicy, and this one was no exception as well. And when Germany play England, it's usually Germany that come out on top as well. This one seemed to be Homan at the table all the time. Majid gunned down, stuck in his seat. 5-4, Homan edged it.
Here we have the very entertaining Dan Basevich from the United States against Xia from Chinese Taipei. Very deliberate, very methodical was Basevich, leaving nothing to chance. Took his time on the table whenever he was up there. Look at that. Showing us the moves, not just on the table, but before each and every shot. Well, the fans love the entertainer, and he loved to entertain. He's a 5-3 winner over Xia.
Steve Higton, the taxi driver from Manchester, had a long, long ride to get to Kaohsiung, but it was Steve Davis taking all the wrong turns as Higton took him to the cleaners. This one on paper looked like it had the makings of a whitewash. It was a whitewash, just not the one we expected. Higton coming out on top over Davis, 5-0. The former world snooker champion still suffering from jet lag. Had he left his run to the last 64 too late?
It's the world champion Pagulayan against Bang from Chinese Taipei. And Alex had a very dismal start to day number 1. Trying to right his ship here, but he has been on his seat for quite a while and struggling to find that form. And it was Bang defeating Pagulayan 5-3 here.
Oliver Ortman against Chang. One of those Chinese Taipei players about whom little was known. Made some mistakes, had one or two wobbles, but when the chips were down, this fella seemed to come up with the right shot. Ortman out of sorts, Chang all over him, even if he was a little bit lucky.
So at the end of day 2, Kuo maintained his 100% record, but Wu had lost his first match. Okay, we're going to take a break right here. We'll be back with the story, the build-up to this final here of the 2005 Kaohsiung World Pool Championship.
Digging around, digging the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go. Digging the ground, feeling good in the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.
Welcome back as we continue our build-up to the World Pool Championship final here in Kaohsiung. 2 young men from Chinese Taipei. Let's go back now and look at the action on day 3.
Chow Fong Pang in action against Nick Vandenberg. Chow in his own backyard. High expectations, but Chow had a lot of business interests going on in the exhibition area as well. He didn't seem to have full attention on the table throughout qualifying, only just got through. Vandenberg, in contrast, very focused. Chow showing flashes of why he was a 2-time former world champion, but just showing not enough consistency to make a strong Chinese Taipei challenge. He was too good for Vandenberg on this one, but in the big picture, it was the Dutchman that would win out. Chow would bow out early.
Earl the Pearl Strickland against Vieto from Indonesia. This had all the makings of a run-out. And Earl the Pearl once again trying to not disappoint. He came to this championship with a purpose. As he continues to talk to the fans, continues to get riled up about just about anything. There he goes once again. And look at this. Just for good measure. Always the showman. Strickland by a hair, 5-4 over Vieto.
This table was no respecter of reputations. World champions bit the dust all over the place. Oliver Ortman had lost his first match, didn't lose his second one when he took on Wolverhampton's Kevin Uzel. Uzel had his chances, also had his misses. That let Ortman in. You don't give Oliver Ortman too many chances. It was the German that managed to squeak by in this one. Once again, he'd shown that on the TV table he wasn't at his best. 5-4.
It's the Iceman, Mika Immonen against Chan from Singapore. Group 9 matchup. Still a race to 5 here in the group stages. And the Iceman proving to be so successful, so smooth, and so effective. Just running through those racks. And as expected, a 5-2 winner over Chan.
So the action continued long into the night. The battle of two of the big boys. The dancing pair, Alan Martel and Wu Chia-ching, who at the age of 16 was already showing the big stage pressure. He loved it. Loved it. He thrived on it. Wu Chia-ching The bigger they came, the harder they fell. None came much bigger than big Alain Martel, but he went down
5-3. Thorsten Hohmann from Germany against Williams for the United States. This had all the makings of a very tough match. Both players very talented. Both players very experienced. But it was Hohmann all over Williams, 5-1 in this Group 3 matchup.
Well, Efren Reyes' struggles in qualifying were really the story of the first 4 days, and when he ran into the man from the Czech Republic, Roman Ubler, the struggles continued. Rock-hard Roman showed no respect for the magician. Reyes continued to struggle. Ubler gunned him down 5-2. The magician was on his way out.
So at the end of day 3, Kuo Po Cheng still with his 100% record. Wu playing very steady pool, but still with that one defeat. Let's see how the action is on day 4.
Day 4 began with Lili and Xia from Chinese Taipei. Group 8 matchup. Once again, Lili trying to show his wares against the local favorite. And we have a packed house for this one. But it was all Lili, 5-2 over Xia.
Never a dull moment with Earl Strickland around, but in this battle of two former world champions, Earl the Pearl was on his best behaviour, as he always is when he's up against Oliver Ortman. A lot of mutual respect between these two players, and some wonderful shot making as well. That still didn't stop Earl from voicing opinions to himself. Nobody knew what he was talking about. Nothing new there. Strickland, despite all the cares of the world on his shoulders, edging past 5-4.
It's Renato Ronnie Alcano against Fabio Petroni from Italy. Group 12 matchup. And the man from the Philippines against the man from Italy. They knew each other so well. Petroni, a frequent visitor to Manila. He challenges the local key masters there. But Alcano proving to be much steadier in this one, defeating Petroni 5-3.
This one was a winner-take-all. Wang and Lili in Group 15. It was simple. The winner would go through, the loser would go out. We had the heartbreak of the whole championship in this one. It went to Hill. It went to the last 9 as well. We didn't know who was going to prevail. Would it be the man from India, or would it be Wang? Lili needed that 9. He didn't get it. His competition ended there. Wang probably more surprised than anybody, and ever since that pocket has been known as the Lili pocket. What drama!
Steve Davis from England against Rodolfo Boy Samson-Luat from the Philippines. Davis yet to show us the form expected of him. He struggled with jet lag the first couple of days, but now he seems to have settled down. And settling down he has. Look at the great shot making. That one of the shots of the tournament. And that letting him make it to the next phase of the competition. 5-3. Davis over Luat.
Johnny Archer and Satoshi Kawabata, not guys that show their emotions usually. Satoshi Kawabata showing the kind of steady play that we've seen on the Asian tour, but when you're up against a former world champion like Johnny Archer, you need to be more than steady. You need to be good, very good. Kawabata not quite good enough. Johnny Archer, the Scorpion, having the final sting here. 5-4.
Gandhi Valley from the Philippines against Chen from Chinese Taipei. Once again, two nations slug it out. Actually, that is Marcus Shamat. There's a final tally. Value 5-2. A winner over Shamat.
So at the end of day 4, Kuo Po Cheng playing wonderful pool, 100% record for him through the group stage. Wu with that second upset, but still managing to go through to day 5. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will look at the action on the 5th day of this Kaohsiung World Pool Championship. Back to our build-up to the final here of the Kaohsiung 2005 World Pool Championship. Day 5 now, we're at the last 64. This really is the start of the business end of this World Pool Championship, and some wonderful action to look back on.
The knockout stages almost saw Chang bow out. He'd come through qualifying, he'd looked good, but Francisco Bustamante was looking even better. Until he had a shocking miss of 5-1. That would have been 6-1. It was effectively game, set and match for Chang from that moment. Bustamante pressing self-destruct in the most awful way. And his competition over. Chang taking it 10-8.
Morris against Salvas. Another matchup which is win or go home. Rodney Morris coming up with a few errors here and there, but nonetheless, Salvas can understand his bit of misfortune. But Morris proved to be steadier, much steadier. A 10-2 winner over Salvas from Canada.
Chow Fong Pang against Michael Valentine, Scotland's only representative, had been really good through qualifying. Chow had struggled through on the last day. Chow Fong Pang went to his box of tricks in this one. He questioned the length of Valentine's jump cue, did anything to unsettle him out of his rhythm, and it worked. The old master still had 1 or 2 tricks up his sleeve, and Valentine just not good enough on the day. Chow rolling on, a popular win in his home city.
Kuo Po Cheng, unbeaten so far here in this tournament. Trying to display his wares. Trying to show everyone that he's a player to contend with here in this year's championships. We have tightened up the pockets, but nonetheless, it has not really mattered. Kuo Po Cheng on a roll, on fire. And he knocks out Davis 10-7.
So one Englishman bowed out, another Englishman was expected to. Raj Hundal got through against hot favourite Yang Chin Shun. He was expected to be cannon fodder for Yang. Instead, he racked up 7 racks in almost as many minutes. The crowd stunned into silence as Hundal went to work. Ball after ball, shot after shot, rack after rack. Yang sat in his chair, and this was as far as he would go. The shock of the tournament. Raj Hundal demolishing the pre-tournament favourites.
Alex the Lion Pagulayan, in his drive to win back-to-back championships, he was not that successful in the qualifying stage, but here against Park, much more fearsome. Running through each and every rack with ultimate precision. And the Lion proving to be the king of the jungle on this day. A winner over Park, 10-5.
So some notable wins for both players from their matches in the last 64. Kuo Po Cheng with that great win over the 6-time former world snooker champion Steve Davis of England, and Wu Chia-cheng with his win over Ko Ping Ai, his stablemate in the world of pool. On they went then into the last 32 on day 6.
a much reduced field. Could Raj Hundal pull off another surprise against the Rocket, Rodney Morris? Well, it was Hundal on the hill first, and another shock was brewing. But then 9-6 down, the Rocket went to work, and the Rocket took off. 4 racks in a row to keep Hundal in his chair. All he had to do was keep his nerve, keep his cueing together, and Hundal so close, but unable to seal the deal. Stuck in his chair as Morris finished him off. What a match though, hill. Great camaraderie between the two, but it was the American on top.
Paulo Manalo from the Philippines against Wang from Chinese Taipei. And this race to 10 encounter, who would prevail? The local favorite or this man from the Philippines? Manalo going on absolute tear here. Flawless. A 10-0 winner against Wang.
Nobody thought Vilmos Foldesh would get to the last 32, and absolutely nobody at all thought he would have a chance against the defending world champion Alex Pagulayan. Nobody except Vilmos himself. And with nothing to lose, the man from Hungary got his eye in, got his shots together, got his game going, kept Alex Pagulayan in his chair, and the man who'd been to 2 successive world championship finals was on his way out. First Rockers, congratulations, but the Lion's reign as King of the Jungle was over.
Nick Vandenberg has been very impressive, and here against Wang continues to impress. He came here with one purpose: to make it all the way to the finals and win the championship. His rival from Chinese Taipei proves to be no stumbling block as he defeats Wang 10-6.
So again, some notable achievements by both players in their matches from the last 32. Kuo with his win over Liu of Chinese Taipei, and Wu Jie-Ching with his very good win over Andreas Robchowski of Germany. And on they went, day 7, the last 16.
Every match big now. Wu Jie-Ching was still rocking and rolling. The 16-year-old not able to sneak up on anybody anymore. Marcus Shamat, they thought, would be the man with the experience. Well, the crowd were giving him some stick, but Marcus, with his good humour, was able to keep them on his side. But Marcus needed some help from the Bulls, and he didn't get it. And Wu showing some wonderful shot making. The 16-year-old showing no fear. And another big scalp was his as the towel came in. Napoleon had met his Waterloo.
Guo Cheng here from Chinese Taipei, continuing his drive to make it to the finals. He has yet to lose a match, and he didn't want to lose this one. He made it much farther last year, and he wanted to duplicate that fact. And just so many misses. Whoa! All over Hibla there.
Torsten Homan against Jeremy Jones. The American effort dwindling, world champions falling as well. Who would be king of the hill on this one? A high pressure match. Homan showing the form that won him the title 2 years ago when he was the rank outsider, and doing enough to down the American challenge. Torsten rolling on.
Both these young players from Chinese Taipei setting the standard here in this Whirlpool Championship. Again, some big performances in the round of 16, with Kuo beating Roman Hubler of the Czech Republic and Wu Jie-Ching with his win over Sweden's Marcus Shamat. So they're through to the quarterfinals. We're going to take another break here. When we come back, we'll see the action from the last 8. Welcome back. We are building up to the final of the 2005 Kaohsiung World Pool Championship. And both these young Chinese Taipei players playing very well indeed. They're in the quarterfinals. Guo Cheng is playing Huang Kun-chang of Chinese Taipei, and Wu Jie-Ching is playing the German Torsten Homan, the 2003 world champion. Let's see how they got on in those quarterfinal matches.
And day number 8, Kuo Po Cheng against Wang from Chinese Taipei. 2 Chinese Taipei veterans trying to book for themselves a spot in the semifinals. And this man in your screens, Kuo Po Cheng, has been like a locomotive on fire. Precision shot making, great potting, and great knowledge of the game once again. One of the men to beat here in this championship. He squeaks past Wang, 11-7.
Everyone that had seen Wu Chia-ching up to this point realized that we were watching the flowering of a rare talent, including his father, who watched him take on the champion of 2 years ago, Torsten Homan, and give him a lesson. One for the future, they'd been saying about Wu Chia-ching. How about one for the present? 11-5, Wu at 16, a semi-finalist. Homan, done and dusted.
A fantastic atmosphere inside the Business Exhibition Centre here, and of course the home support for these two young players. And into the semi-finals they went. Kuo Po Cheng up against the American Rodney Rocky Morris. Wu Chia-ching up against the Philippines' Marlon Manalo.
Wu Chia-ching. The future is now for this young kid. And trying to take advantage of every opportunity. Displaying skill, knowledge, and experience beyond his years. And there, defeating the man who was on the tear. Marlon Manalo from the Philippines hardly got off his seat. A flawless performance here from Wu Chia-ching.
So, could Kuo Po Cheng make it an all-Chinese Taipei final? Rodney Morris had other ideas, but the Rocket, despite a height and weight advantage over the little man, well, Kuo Po Cheng showed that when it comes to 9-ball, size doesn't matter. He tormented the big American who'd come so far and was so disappointed to bow out at the semi-final stage. At 11-8, he had to go.
And so we're down to the final of the 2005 Kaohsiung World Pool Championship. It is all Chinese Taipei. Kuo Po Cheng, Wu Chia-ching. It is going to be a fantastic atmosphere inside there, the Business Exhibition Centre in Kaohsiung. That's where I'm going. That's where you're coming with me. It's going to be fantastic.